Greetings, people of the internet. This is Cardiacs, and today is another video. And as always, I am sleepy. This one more so than others because I am in the process of trying to fix my sleep schedule, and it's ugh. So Poppy just suddenly started to fuss. I don't know why. Something about pulling my headset out of the drawer probably upset him. Regardless, if you hear him in the background, I am sorry, and there's nothing I can do about that. Also, a cat just appeared right in front of me. I jumped because my eyes were closed, and she appeared because it is clockwork. So lately, ever since I did the Inktober / sketchbook slam challenge, I have been exhausted creatively. I didn't ink everything that I did in the sketchbook slam challenge, and you can see my video on my channel somewhere if you're curious. Anyway, so I've been having a little hard time trying to get back into the swing of things, and I can still draw, of course. I haven't lost my ability to do that. It's just I've just kind of lost my interest, plus I don't really like what I do. I don't hate it, usually, but it doesn't mean that I like it either. And this is one of the first things I actually started to like. And then I took a break from it to eat. And when I came back, I didn't like it anymore. So, however, what kind of re-established my wanting to finish this is that I was wanting to figure out how to do skin, and I found a decent tutorial. There's one thing I disagree with in it, so I tweaked that in my own attempt with the method. And I think I like the results. Cat is driving me crazy as always. So, of course, everyone does human skin tones in their tutorials, but this character, Isla, is not human. Skin tone is typically made of pinks and reds and yellows and browns, which is brown is pretty much a mixture of red and yellow anyway. Regardless, she is not any of those skin tones that we have. She is green. She has very green skin. And I wanted to be able to figure out how to do skin by also figuring out how to render hers. Because there are a lot of things that I want to get better at, and one of them is rendering, I guess, in general. And I want to I want to be more comfortable with rendering skin tones, especially because just when I do things like for my friend Ginger, for example, they just feel very flat and lifeless. And I mean, part of that's because I'm trying to save time, because trying to render something out like this takes quite a while. At least it does for me while I'm trying to figure things out. But still, I don't struggle that hard with it. I'm just kind of playing around a little. And this actually took nearly 3 hours of actual work time. Like without distractions, without pauses and everything. This actually was approximately 2 hours and 28 minutes just to shade and highlight her skin, clothes, hair, accessories. Usually, it's about the time I take for a simple illustration that Ginger, my friend, asks for. But sometimes the illustration will take up to like 6 hours because of the background and any other details Ginger may request that she comes up with later on. Because typically I do those illustrations at her house. That is because she doesn't really have a way to receive any updates I may have for her, except for when she borrows her sister's or her father's phone. Bit of an inconvenience. She said that she may be getting a new phone soon, which will be a smartphone, hopefully, so that I don't have to worry about sending things to people I don't know very well. At least not as well as I know Tinder. Regardless, just the point at hand is that those illustrations are more detailed than what I typically do because of myself, I guess, being primarily a character concept artist, I guess. Character illustrator, something like that. I mean, I do want to branch out and be able to do more detailed things in terms of background and well, mostly just background. I'm working toward that with my attempt at learning how to render skin. I mean, of course, I had a somewhat decent idea, I guess, of it down already. And yet, I just always have this constant feeling that even though I'm not bad, I'm just not where I want to be, and that means I'm not good either. And of course, I know that I am good. I mean, not in a conceited way, I just know that there are plenty of artists who don't know as much as I do in terms of anatomy, for example. But whereas I am somewhere in the middle, there's always going to be someone better. Because I am in the middle. There are people who don't know the human body like I do, and there are people who know it better. For example, I learned a couple of things when I bought a tutorial set from Aaron Blaze, and I was just blown away. Like him just sketching things out. I mean, he typically does a lot of cartoonized characters, and yet the tutorials that that I was looking at that he had done was him sketching from memory the human body, and his sketches looked realistic. Like they hadn't been rendered out, they were just sketches, just outlines. But just the way he went about it, and the way he just sketched, just made them feel like he was looking at a reference, and it was just so shocking, I guess, to me. Because my style, I'm not. I got my start with manga and anime, but I ventured away from that pretty quickly. Once I started drawing without reference, I started playing around with the shapes of the eyes and everything, and quickly became something like this. I remember talking to Ginger last night. We were trying to discuss what my... Well, maybe it wasn't last night, it was like maybe the night before. Regardless, we were trying to discuss what I consider my art style to be like, and we got to the idea... Ow, ow, ow! This is just not my day. Oh, that was my cat jumping on my leg and digging her claws into my skin. Very not fun. Anyway, backtracking. Ginger and I were considering what my style could be called, and it's essentially a cartoony realism, I guess. It's too stylized to be considered realism, but it's too realistic to be considered full cartoon, I guess. At least that's, I guess, how she would describe it, because she thinks my style is pretty realistic. And in terms of the proportions, typically, I guess, yeah, in some ways it is very realistic. But in other ways it is also very stylized. For example, I have a pretty standard way that I draw the human face. It typically looks the same, in a way, at least, to me. I also draw pointed ears a lot. Like, I've noticed this. In my sketchbooks, I don't do it as often, but most of my characters that I do draw a lot do have pointed ears. And Severa, my main character, had really long pointed ears. However, recently I decided that that was a bit too much, so I toned them down, and now her ears are roughly the same size and length and pointiness of Isla's ears. This character here is named Isla, by the way. She is an alien, which is why her shirt reads, "Humans aren't real," because when I saw that shirt for the first time, I absolutely knew that I had to put Isla in it. And of course I had to give her a very menacing slash wants to be menacing because she's an angsty teenager expression, and alongside a kind of too cool for you kind of pose. I think if any of my characters embodied angst, that characters would be Isla and Severa. I'm not really sure which one would be worse. Anyway, back to the term of the style, I guess. I don't really know what else to say about that, honestly. I just really want to improve. That's always what I am aiming for whenever I do things like this. And just a little tip for anyone out there that actually does watch me pretty closely. Pretty much everything that I've been doing for the past few months has, digitally at least, has involved something that I'm new with. For example, honestly, pretty much all of Ginger's illustrations that I've done for her book, all of them have had at least one thing in them that I'm not used to, other than the fact that they have relatively detailed backgrounds. For example, Jane and the Bear, that one was full of new things. I hadn't really done a forest background before. I hadn't done an archer very much, let alone aiming an arrow at a bear, and I hadn't done a bear digitally yet. I hadn't done the tree limb shadow thing either before that point. That was just an idea I had then. I also tried cast shadows in that illustration, so that one is just full of all the new stuff I tried. So I guess maybe in the future I can let you guys what I'm doing new in each thing I try. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.